Welcome back to The Common Historian, where history meets the supernatural. I'm Jeremy, and tonight, in our special Halloween week episode, we're diving into the full spectrum of the unexplained. I'm joined by Nathaniel Elwell, founder and lead investigator of the Newport Paranormal Society and host of Paranormal Unveiled, to explore everything from restless spirits to interdimensional beings. To grab your favorite beverage, dim the lights, and prepare for a journey into the world where reality itself becomes questionable. Welcome, Nate. How are you tonight?
I am doing great, Jeremy. Thank you so much for having me on. I'm stoked to be the Halloween episode. I find that as a great honor.
I thought it was fitting. We're going to be talking about a lot of different things, and I think it fits perfect for our Halloween week. So,
I love it. I love it. Yeah, and the jumping topics things, I like that too because, I call myself a paranormal researcher because I research all aspects of the paranormal. I've got probably 200 books in my paranormal library, and I've read every single one of them that go over everything from ghosts up to spontaneous human combustion.
so the full spectrum, you're you sound like you're pretty well versed in. So,
I like to think I am, but I don't know everything.
we'll see how much, maybe I'll stump you tonight.
I love it when people do it because when they do, I get to learn something new myself.
The first thing I'm probably going to do, and I'm probably going to hear about it, but I'm going to use the D word tonight.
Okay. I'll deal with it. We can hit that up.
So, how do you distinguish between a human spirit and something demonic?
Okay, so the difference is a human spirit has a completely different, what I call telltale signs than a demonic haunting. So human spirits, you got to think about it like this. If someone dies and they were a generally nasty person in life, they're going to leave behind a generally nasty residue. They can do everything that a demon can do for the most part. They can bite you, they can scratch you, they can move objects, they can cause electrical malfunctions. The difference is a human spirit is not going to create circular puddles of water on your floor. They're not going to create liquid that leaks from your walls. They're not going to create infestations of flies or cockroaches or mice. So they're not going to typically give you that rotten egg smell, the sulfur smell, or the rotten meat smell, as someone would describe it as. So there's very few key characteristics that if you're trying to distinguish between a demonic haunting and a nasty human entity that you can actually look for.
Yeah, I never really thought about it that way. I do the history part more than the investigating.
Let me tell you, I love history too. This is my research folder on Medfield State Hospital.
Oh, wow. That's almost a book.
I have every property record from 1909 up until 1956, as well as a separate folder that has all the names of the people buried in the cemetery on site. When I research, I research.
That's really nice. And I did hear that you have a book.
I do. My book is called Downloading for the Dead, Investigating Paranormal Applications. On my YouTube channel, I download paranormal applications from the App Store on your smart device, and I test them out and tell you whether or not I think they could be viable tools to help enhance your investigative experience. I'm not saying an app should be used as your main tool, because it shouldn't. Your main tool, honestly, should be your instincts. But these do not hurt to be a secondary tool for data collection. And so basically the whole book goes through my experiences out of the year and a half that I've been testing apps. Season 2 is going to start filming in December. And I'll have a second book hopefully out within the next few years. It's my experiences testing these applications. I go through and I tell you which ones I think are credible, which ones are not. So basically, I've done the legwork for you.
Very nice. Yeah, if you give me that link, I'll make sure I put it in the description in case
Yeah, I would
anyone wants to
definitely
pick
get you
that
one.
book. In case anyone wants to pick up that.
It's definitely, so far, the people that have purchased it and read it so far love it. They've actually downloaded some of the apps that I've mentioned in the book. I've had pretty decent feedback so far.
No, that's great. I'll have to check that out too.
I would love it if you do. And I'd love to hear your feedback on it.
Yeah. So I'll have to look at that. Moving on, the Warrens work extensively in New England. What's your thoughts on the demonic cases?
So here's the thing. I personally know Judy Warren and Tony Spera. They are great people. I finally got to meet them for the first time at the Maine Paranormal and Horror Convention back in September. I've been friends with Tony Spera for quite a while. I just never had a chance to meet him in person. I can tell you that when it comes to the Warrens, I think they get a bad reputation because people think they faked a lot of things. Here's the thing. They didn't. Their stuff was legitimate. Do I think that Lorraine had that ability to be able to sense this style of energy? I absolutely do. Do I know for a fact that Ed was a demonologist? Yes, I do know this. And I don't think that a respected demonologist would put the D word on anything that was not actually a demon.
Yeah.
Still, I do think the movies, the Conjuring series, I believe that they over accentuate the hauntings. Specifically, it's Hollywood, right?
Yeah.
But for the most part, from what Tony said, they stuck pretty close to the actual happenings. But of course, there was stuff that was amped up because you got to create the scares.
Yeah. You really have to. I've watched probably most of anything on YouTube on the Warrens.
Yeah, so
Big fans of them.
I actually have a Nesper T-shirt here. So I love I love Tony, I love Judy. They were such nice people.
Oh, yeah. Truly think that I don't think that they were faking things either.
No,
I know a lot of people do, but
here's the thing. Yes, a lot of people fake things, but how many people fake things and then they end up having their own movie series, basically,
yeah.
right? So if they were faking it, then they made it so believable that everyone bought it.
Yep.
And I don't see that being the case.
Yeah. I don't either. I think that, they really, you know, did believe that there was entities and demons
Right.
in those different locations.
Now, I do know that when it comes to like the Amityville Horror House, which they worked on, the Lutzes backtracked their story several years after the movie was released, saying that it didn't really go down that way. They did say that they were experiencing stuff that freaked them out to the point where they left the house, but it
Yeah.
wasn't as extreme as what they put in the book or the movie.
Yeah. But of course, they were also trying to make money on the book and the movie.
Exactly. Exactly.
So,
And that's what people got to take into account. Like, whenever you see these based on a true story movies, they're based on a true story. But what you're seeing in these movies most likely is not factually what happened.
yeah, I agree. So, religious objects and protection, do you think they work? And if so, why?
So I do. As a matter of fact, on most investigations that I go to, I'm Wiccan. So most investigations that I go to, if it's a private residence, I take my stone bag with me. And I have this by my side at all times. And here's the thing. When it comes to religious protection and religious objects protecting you during an investigation, does it really work? Who knows? But it's the belief in the object. If you instill that belief into an object, just as if you instill energy into an object, it can retain that residual energy, right? So if you're projecting that protective style energy into the object that you are deeming that's going to protect you, and at least gives you that sense of security, right? You kind of like have that security blanket. Like, I've got Florida water. Does it work? Who knows? But
Yeah.
I can tell you that when I've used it, activity does seem to calm down. I've also got holy water. Now, me not being Christian, holy water shouldn't work, right? No,
Yeah.
it does. And the reason for that being is because I make my style to where I can match any religious belief of the person that I am investigating for. Because I am there to help them ultimately. I am not there to make myself look good. I'm not there to do anything other than to help the clients that contacted me. So if they have that Christian background, they have that Christian belief, I was raised Southern Baptist. So I absolutely can use that in my advantage.
Yeah. So, have you kind of moving on from the demons? We're going to go into the little cryptids now, a little bit
Oh,
of
yes.
cryptids. So, have you personally investigated cryptid reports in New Hampshire or in the Northeast?
In the Northeast, I have not yet. I do have it on my calendar to go down to the Bridgewater Triangle in Massachusetts to the Fall River Freetown State Forest because I want to go and look for the legend of the Pukwudgie. So the Pukwudgie, if you've not heard of it, the Algonquin have a very similar native creature. They're basically little 3 to 4 foot tall creatures that carry around poisonous spears. People think they're nature spirits. People think they're cryptids. No one really knows exactly what they are. I think they're dwarves, and I am afraid of gnomes. So I am going to go and check out what I'm going to deem as a gnomish style figure.
No.
And I'm not lying to you when I say that, by the way. I am deathly afraid of gnomes. I don't
Oh,
like them.
no, you know, like even the little statues?
No, they creep me out. And I don't know why. I don't know if it's the pointy hats or the just like glazed over smile, but that's one of the few things in the world that creep me the hell out. But as far as investigating cryptids, I have not been on a physical cryptid investigation yet, but I have seen what I believe to be a Bigfoot down in Alabama. So when I was walking home from my aunt's house, it was about 11:30 at night. There was this, between her house and the next house, there was this cornfield. So the corn was about half ripe. So you're looking at stalks that probably came up to about right here. I'm walking by the field carrying my gym bag, and I see something crouching from the distance. And I'm like, okay, well, there's no street lights right here. My eyes are just playing tricks on me. So I walk
Yeah.
closer to the field and I kind of stuck on my tippy toes and I'm looking and I see it start to creep towards me. And I'm like, okay, so I'm not seeing things. That could be a bear.
It could be, yeah.
So I dropped my bag, ran back to my aunt's house. My uncle happened to have one of those 40,000 candle watt floodlights.
Yeah.
Comes outside and he shines it over to the field where I saw this thing, and it stood upright. And it had these really weird bluish golden eye shine. I don't know of any creature out there that has almost a bluish gold eye shine.
Yeah.
It was a
Not
very, very strange eye shine, and you could see the fur was almost orange in color.
Hmm.
And it walked almost 100 yards on two legs into the woodline. A
so
bear's
it
not
could,
going to walk that far on two
yeah,
legs.
not on two yeah. They maybe a little bit, but not that far.
Yeah, no. And then probably 3 months after that, me and my ex-wife were in a place called Dothan, Alabama. We went out to a dinner party. We're on the way back home, and I got a much clearer view of this one. We're on our way back home, and we go over this really narrow bridge. About a mile down the road, she pulls over. I'm like, is everything all right? You need me to take over driving? What's going on? She's like, no, I just want to make sure I'm not crazy. I said, what do you mean? She said, you saw the Bigfoot by the bridge back there, right? And I said, I absolutely saw it. I didn't think you saw it, so I wasn't going to bring it up. And
Wow.
I was like, can we turn around and go see if it's still there? And she's like, I'd rather not get eaten.
Yeah.
So that would be the two times that I have had experiences with what I would call a cryptid, which down in Alabama and Florida, you have the skunk ape. So
Yeah.
do I believe the skunk ape exists? Absolutely. There are some cryptids that are out there, though. Like, I'm not so sure about the Icelandic ice worm, the worm that swims in the water. I'm not sure about that thing. Or the
Yeah.
hodag from Wisconsin. That thing is just way too far-fetched.
Yeah. There's some of them that are believable. Like I do believe that there's Bigfoot in the Adirondacks. I live in the Adirondacks. I've never seen it, but I do believe that there's something there. There's a lot of dense forest.
There is,
Uh,
and you got to figure if these Native Americans for all this time has been telling stories of these creatures, right? They were making it up. They based
yeah.
it off of something factual.
Yeah.
So I find it very possible. Now, are they actually cryptids or are they interdimensional beings, as some theories would tell you? Some theories tell you they're hairy aliens. I don't know what they are, but here's my thing. So many people are like, with no evidence, we can't say they exist, right? We don't have a body. We don't have bones. You know what? What if they are so similar to us humans that if one of them passes away, they bury their dead? You'd never find the
Yeah.
bones.
True. True. We would never find them because they bury them.
Exactly. Or they cannibalize them, which is another theory.
So you mentioned the Bridgewater Triangle. Why do you think cryptids, ghosts, and UFOs concentrate there?
I have my own personal theory on it. I have done a little bit of research, not really extensive on the Bridgewater Triangle, but I do know that place is covered in ley lines. So maybe the ley lines have something to do with it. Or I do know a majority of that area has a limestone bedrock. Limestone is the only stone known to naturally give off its own electromagnetic field. So maybe it has something to do with the limestone bedrock mixed with the ley lines. There's so many different theories. I could tell you the Freetown Fall River State Forest or Fall River Freetown State Forest, however you want to say it. I do know that back in the 80s, there was a satanic cult murder where someone had decapitated a woman in the name of Satan. So that's probably why that place is haunted. It's an anomaly because, you have the Bridgewater Triangle. You have the Bennington Triangle in Vermont. Of course,
Yep.
everyone's heard of the Bermuda Triangle. You have the Alaskan Triangle. You have the Nevada Triangle. There's triangles that seem to harness these, I guess you could say, supernatural occurrences. And I really don't know what causes it, but I find it so weird that there's so many of them in those specific areas. The concentration of sightings and happenings is through the roof.
Do you think it could possibly be portals there, maybe?
I'm not the biggest believer in portals. I'm not going to say they don't exist, But is it plausible? Yes. Let's be honest. We know so little about this field. We think we know so much, but in all actuality, we've not even scratched the surface of what we can discover. So,
Yeah.
is there really portals? You know what? It's possible. That's not a bad theory. Can I say that's what's causing it? No. But can I say I know what's causing it?
No, it's just a mystery that's still yet to be solved.
And hopefully it will.
Yep.
Probably way after we're gone.
Oh, most likely. So we talked about the Native American lore a little bit. The Native Americans had the wood devils. Do you think the modern Bigfoot reports are the same creatures?
Yes. If you go back and find any kind of cave drawings or depictions that are passed down through oral traditions when it comes to Native Americans, what they describe as the wood devil is almost identical to what we identify as a Sasquatch or a Bigfoot.
Okay. I agree. I think that that is also, I've been doing research on the road near where I live. It's called the Devil's Den Road. And kind of, there's been reports of things on that road.
Interesting.
And a lot of it runs right through a Native American reservation as well.
Nice.
I just started researching it a little bit more.
I'd be interested to hear what you find out.
It's very early, and I need to go to the town and look at the history there too.
Nice. I know that in June, I'm flying out to Wisconsin for an event called the Bearded Brothers Brawl. It's a paranormal convention event for raising money for cancer. I'm flying in on Thursday. The event's not till Saturday, and I am making a side trip. It is going to be worth the hour and a half drive. I am going to see Bray Road. Missed out when I was there last July. I missed out on being able to go. It was just too busy, but I've got 2 days before the event this time, so I am definitely going to see Bray Road. I'm also going to go and see the Ed Gein farmstead.
That would be nice to go see as well.
I just want some soil. I want to collect some soil and bring it home. But then again, no, hang on. Before I say that, anyone out there that's listening to this that is a novice paranormal investigator, do not bring stuff home from locations.
Oh, yes.
That is bad juju. I have been doing this for a very long time. And let's be honest, if I'm bringing home soil from a site like that, I am probably bringing back some energy with it. So I'm going to have to sit it outside and cleanse it before I bring it inside.
Yeah. You don't know what you'll bring home. Sometimes even going to a place, not even knowing you might bring something home.
Oh, attachments happen. They do. And you can go in there with the best of intentions and not antagonize the spirits. I never promote provoking, but I have seen people go in there with the best of intentions. And then the day after they go home, they start experiencing stuff in their home when they never had where they weren't experiencing anything before. It happens. It unfortunately does.
What I think one of the weirdest things for me since starting these interviews, I was prepping for the Greystone Manor owner, Heather. Every time I do an interview, I bring my dogs upstairs, put them in the cage until I get done. They like to bark. I was bringing them upstairs and I walked by my bathroom. I saw full shadow figure. I came back down. I did talk to Heather and she says, "Oh, it's probably just one of mine." She says they like to check out people before I do interviews.
Interesting. I've not heard of that before.
I've never seen it. I haven't seen it since.
That's not a bad thing, right?
So I think she was right.
I mean, it very well could be. I've never heard of a spirit doing that before, so that's an intriguing story for me.
It was an experience, and it kind of took me back. I only had like 5 minutes till the interview. I told her about it after, and she was like, "Oh, it was probably just one of mine. They like to check on people. I do interviews."
And that's cool because sometimes people will tell you, "Oh, was your eyes playing tricks?" Okay. Look, does that happen sometimes? Yes. But I can tell you from someone who has seen a full-bodied shadow person, a full-body apparition, that when you see it, it's not your eyes playing tricks, even if it's out of your peripheral vision. It's not your eyes playing tricks. You know what you saw.
I saw it. I don't think it was my eyes playing tricks. It was there.
That is awesome. That's a hell of an experience, though.
Yeah, it'll be one I always remember.
I love it.
Just never know what to expect before doing even just interviews.
And that's not a bad thing sometimes.
No.
Because I left my clown doll in the closet tonight because I had an interview on Tuesday with somebody. And anytime I bring my clown doll out of the closet, their screen will start locking up on them as soon as we start talking about him. So I'm leaving him in the closet tonight.
Yeah. Do you think there's a connection between haunted locations and UFO sightings? I know it's stretching a little bit, but Do you think there's any connection between them? I've read some places where some people say that there's, you know, there's a connection.
Do I think it's plausible? I mean, absolutely. Because you have to think about it like this. If you have a UFO sighting over a haunted location, us as investigators, when we go in, we like to use what's called an EM pump, which is an electromagnetic field generator. It basically puts out who knows how much EMF a UFO puts off?
Yeah,
So
yeah,
I would say it's probably more than what power lines put off.
most likely in theory.
So in theory, there very well could be a connection between UFO sightings and haunted locations because we have no idea how much energy that's inputting into the environment from just the craft.
Yeah, that's very true. Have you ever investigated where you were looking for ghosts and found something else entirely?
I can honestly say I don't believe I have ever been to a spot. I take that back. Yes, I have. There's a
Okay.
place in Alabama where I used to live called Mount Zion Chapel Cemetery. So if you do not know where this place is, you will never find it. I looked for it for
Mm.
5 years before I finally located it.
Ah,
And it is literally on a back road where the trees are so narrow they scrape against the side of your car when you're going down through. And we get to the cemetery. The main reason I was looking for it was because there was a church that was built on site that burnt down in 1945. There was two people inside the church when it burnt down. Both of them lost their lives. But also in the cemetery, there is the grave of a witch. And then on top of that, before the church was built, back during the Civil War times, the big oak tree in the center of the cemetery, if you go back through historical documentation to the police department, 65 people were lynched from that tree. I
hmm,
went out because I wanted to find this place and investigate it. So we're over at where the basement area of the church would have been, right? So typically, when you get in the ground, it's colder than the surface area because you're below ground.
yeah.
The surface area or the ambient temperature within the actual basement area was 15 degrees higher than the surface level. Why that
Wow.
was, I don't know, because it should have, if it was 15 degrees anything, it should have been colder,
Yeah.
but it wasn't. Once we're done with that little spot, and I'm getting to what I was just about to tell you, we're walking over to the witch's grave. And my plan was to set up a piece of equipment on it and do some audio work. When we're walking to the grave, we hear this rustling in the treetops. And when we looked up, something came out of the treetops and flew off. And it was bigger than a bird. Any bird that I know of that's native to Alabama. I know it wasn't a bat. I know it wasn't a bird. We weren't in New Jersey, so I damn sure know it wasn't the Jersey Devil. But I do not know what it was, but it was pretty massive. And to my knowledge, there's no records of any flying cryptids other than thunderbirds in that area. And it's way too small to be a thunderbird.
Yeah. So yeah, you can't really classify it because you know exactly what it would be.
Yeah, and unfortunately, at that point in time, I was just starting out. I think I'd been in the paranormal for a little bit over 6 years, and I forgot to charge my night vision camera. So I was walking around with a regular camera with a flash on it, and you really couldn't see what was going on. So I was not able to capture it on camera, unfortunately.
Do you think ghosts, demons, and aliens could all be interdimensional travelers?
Why couldn't they be? I am a firm believer with the time slip theory, where we're sitting in two different time frames that exist collinear, right? And
Yeah.
maybe at certain points in time, the circumstances are aligned correctly that we can see across said time frames. So maybe what we're seeing as a ghost and the people that are responding to us, our time frames are just overlapping so they can hear us, we can see them, and that's how they can respond and we can physically see them because we're
Yeah.
looking into a different time frame just because the circumstances are absolutely perfect. But that contradicts a lot of what you know about paranormal theory, right? Because typically people think that they're earthbound spirits, or the stone tape theory is a big one where you input all that energy and then it basically is like a CD stuck on skip. It just plays and plays and plays. Or you even have the egregores and the thought form theory, where people go into a location looking for specific energy and they input so much energy into that location that they therefore themselves created said haunting. So I don't think there's any way to rule out the theory that maybe they aren't all interdimensional beings, because they very well could be.
Yeah, they could. What's your most unexpected piece of evidence you ever captured?
That's a good one. So there was actually two of them, and one of them I did not capture. Well, I captured it on recording, but not video. So there's an old jail down in the city of Elba, Alabama. It's called the Old Coffee County Jail. It closed down in 1993. We got called in by the local JCs. So if people out there don't know what the JCs are, they're like a nonprofit organization. They do fundraising, they do haunted houses every year, stuff like that. So they were holding a haunted house in this old jail. And the owner of the JCs, or that particular branch, would stand by the back door on their way out. He'd shake their hands, tell you, have a good night. Thanks for coming. Hope you enjoyed yourself. He constantly was getting compliments about this actor that they were saying was in the back corner of this one room. There's no actor in that area. About 60 people saw this figure back there where there's no actor. So he talked to the local town Chamber of Commerce. They contacted me. I had to go to the mayor's office. It was a hassle because it was a hassle to get in there. But once we got in, I'll tell you a little bit of tidbits after this because it was something that happened on the day. It was an anniversary of something that I had no idea about. So we go in, and upstairs they have a bullpen setup, which is an open style cell setup with just open bunks, right? Downstairs, you got 4 cells that had 2 bunks. Those were your drunk cells or overnight holding cells. Then you had 1 solitary cell. The solitary cell had not been opened in so long that the hinges were rusted shut. It took almost 3 cans, about 2 3/4 cans of WD-40 and 6 people to pry this door open. We finally get it open. I'm going in to do audio work. I set up a camera on the back side of the door, and I set up a camera facing into the cell. I go in there. I'm doing my audio work. 10, 12 minutes of me being in there doing audio work. I hear this weird clink, clink. I'm looking around like, what was that? And the door that just took all that stuff to open slammed shut on its own volition, and both of my cameras died simultaneously.
Wow. Something sucked up all your energy, all the energy out of it.
I was stuck in the room for almost an hour.
Wow.
And it sucked. If I ever had one of those, I almost crapped my pants moments.
That was it.
So what I didn't know until after I left, because it's the turning point for me, I wanted my evidence to align with the history, not the history to align with the evidence. I had it completely backwards. So I go home and I start researching. I find out that we investigated the jail 20 years to the day of Sheriff Neil Grantham being shot to death on the front steps of the jail by an inmate that he had released the day before.
Oh, wow.
So think about it like this. If Sheriff Grantham's there and you walk by a solitary cell and there's a person standing in there, you probably assume that's an inmate. Would you want that door open?
Nope. You want to shut?
I think he shut it.
Yeah. Very well. He thought that you were an inmate that needed to be shut.
Yeah.
So
my favorite piece of audio, we were at my sister's house. She bought this old house and she was having so many weird things happening. She kept seeing children where her kids were in bed. She would hear footsteps running down the hallway. She was hearing voices. So she called me over and she asked me if I would go over there and have a look. Yeah, sure. I'll come over and I'll check it out for you. So 2 interesting pieces here that I captured. Number 1, when I was in the garage area doing EVP work, I had my camera going. I physically see a ladder, one of those regular triangle ladders, lift up, shift, and sit back down. And I caught that on film.
wow.
I thought it was an optical illusion at first. I'm like, there's no way I just saw that. And I watched this thing multiple times. I got probably 20 different opinions. And everyone said, no, that damn thing moved. That was not optical illusion.
Yeah. Wow.
So it was about an hour after that. I'm in my niece's bedroom, my youngest niece. And I'm doing audio work. If there's any child spirits here, you can move on. What are you doing here? Why are you here? And first time I have ever got a sentence this long, this clear. I would call this a class A piece of audio. The child's voice comes through and you could tell clearly it was a female by the tone. It said, I always do what daddy says. Meet me by the pecan tree. So I had no idea what that meant, but my sister did have a pecan tree in the backyard. About 6 months later, she's going out there, she's doing gardening. She's about to plant a little garden around the pecan tree, like a flower bed and stuff.
Yeah.
She found 2 left children's female shoes buried in the ground.
You found the shoes.
But it was weird that she found little girl's shoes when I had a recording of a little girl telling me to meet her at the pecan tree.
That is quite the coincidence.
I'm not a firm believer in coincidences, but that would probably be my two favorite pieces.
Nice. Yeah, those are both very interesting and compelling. Do you think that the government knows more than they're telling us about everything? UFOs,
Oh, absolutely.
Bigfoot.
Absolutely. When you have the technology to make the Hadron Collider, you definitely know more than what you're
Then what?
telling. I definitely know that the UFO cover-up has been going on for years. I can't tell you what they know about ghosts. I can't tell you what they know about cryptids, but maybe they were lab experiments and escaped. Who knows? But yeah, I definitely think, especially when it comes to the UFO, UAP, USO phenomena, aliens, they definitely know more than what they're telling us.
Yeah, I could do that. Okay, so we'll get back. The rise of paranormal entertainment, is it helping or hurting serious investigations?
Like, definitely a hindrance. I'm not even going to question or double guess that. The only show out there that's paranormal related that I think actually helped the paranormal was the original Ghost Hunters, because that was the start of people learning that there is something you can go out and look for. You know, there is that you can investigate this stuff. But a lot of the other stuff you see nowadays, I'm not going to mention any of the other shows by name because it's all going to be derogatory, and I'm not going to do that on your podcast. But
Oh,
I think a lot of them out there, and I'm just going to group them all together. And people, I feel like if they watch any paranormal content, they're going to know who I'm talking about. I think it is a lot of fakery for money. I think it is nothing more than people going out there that have no idea of what the hell they're doing, trying to make a name for themselves. When in all actuality, for people who are like me, who have been doing this for so long, I watch these shows, and instead of making a name for yourself, you're actually making an ass out of yourself is what you're doing, in my
yeah,
opinion.
yeah. And I think Ghost Hunters was one of the first shows that got me into actually, wanting to learn more about the paranormal.
Actually, I think it was 2004 or 5. I was supposed to be on Ghost Hunters Academy. I ended up turning it down because my ex-wife was pregnant, but the world got Adam Berry. I've met Adam Berry. I've investigated with him 4 or 5 times. He's an awesome guy. He's
That
so nice.
I'm very new to the whole paranormal community, so I'm still learning.
Hey, you know what? Nothing wrong with that.
If someone watching this wants to start investigating, where should they begin?
So many people out there will tell you, begin by buying your first piece of equipment. Do not. Because you have to think about it like this. Anything you use, whether it be a set of these, which I'm just going to. So these don't look like paranormal tools. They're actually retractable dowsing rods.
Oh,
So they come out, you bend them over, and they're collapsible, easy to carry. So here's the thing. This would be considered a divination tool. Any tool that we use in the paranormal is technically considered a divination tool, not just dowsing rods, not just Ouija boards. Anything that you're using to make contact with an entity of the spiritual nature is a divination tool. If you want to start off investigating the paranormal, buy books, read up on it, research. Don't just watch a show and go out into the field willy-nilly thinking that you know what you're doing because you've watched 3 seasons of Ghost Adventures. That would be my recommendation.
yeah. I think that's good advice. You, or I don't investigate, but I
You
lived in
should.
a haunted house. I lived in a haunted house for 2 to 3 years. Um,
Nice.
so I got firsthand experience there.
Well, one of these days I'll have you on my show and we'll talk about it. I'd love to hear about them. But yeah, so that would be my piece of advice. Just do your proper research before you go out into the field. And the secondary aspect of that is trust your instincts. If your body's telling you something's not right, your body's telling you get out of a location, go with what your body's telling you, because your body's going to recognize something is off before you are going to physically notice it. I have had those moments, and you know what? I'm not afraid to admit that there's been moments where I've left a location because I walk into a room and I'm like, this does not feel right. I don't want to be in this room. And so
Yeah.
I go outside, take a breather. Go back in about a half an hour later and see if the energy shifted.
And then,
Sometimes that's what you have to do.
yep, yep. So just rapid fire round. Quick responses to some controversial issue. Okay. Ouija boards, dangerous or harmless?
Harmless. I think that there is too much based on the mainstream media of movies. When I have interviewed Mr. Rick Schreck, who used to be on the show House of Shrek, which, he built a Ouijazilla, the biggest Ouija board in the world.
Yeah.
And he's been using Ouija boards almost every day for the last 20 years and has never encountered anything negative. I think that it's more hype built up by mainstream media. I don't think in most cases that they are harmful.
Okay. Orbs and photos, real or dust?
That depends. You have to look for specific things when it comes to orb photographs, okay? Does it have its own nucleus with a translucent outer ring? If it has that, then that means it's emitting its own light, has some form of mass. Does it have a motion trail? Typically, I'm going to say 97%. Dust, bugs, moisture, lens flare, refraction, reflection. That's what I would go with 97% of the time.
Okay. Covered this a little bit, but ghost hunting TV shows, real investigations?
Some of them are real investigations, but I think a lot of them are hyped up, of course, because it's for television.
And like we covered before with the movies,
Same
same
concept.
concept.
You're in it for ratings and views.
Yep. Demonic possession, real phenomenon?
Yes, I do firmly believe that demonic possession is a thing. I don't think it's as common as mainstream media will have it out to believe. I don't believe there's demons lurking everywhere, but I do believe that there are those rare cases that someone can be going through the phases of a demonic infestation up to possession. So yes, I do that it's fully possible.
Okay. Covered this a little bit as well, but Bigfoot, flesh and blood or interdimensional?
I'm on the fence. It could be either way.
Okay. I agree.
Makes sense.
And the last one on this rapid one, shadow people. What are they?
Ooh, so we don't really know. That's a tough question. That's probably the toughest one I think you've asked me all night.
Okay.
Because I am not exactly sure what a shadow person is. I do know that I have seen them and they are blacker than black. They and people out there will tell you there's no such thing as blacker than black. I hate to tell you, but when you see one of these, you will understand what I mean
Yep.
by blacker than black. Do I believe they're malevolent? In some cases. Typically, people who have sightings of something, a creature known as the Hat Man, who is a shadow man that wears a top hat. He is almost always associated with a negative style haunting. Does that make him a demon? No. But could it make him a demon, considering how he's sighted everywhere? And demons know no space nor time. So could it be a demonic presence? Maybe. Could it just be a spirit with good fashion sense? Maybe. But realistically, I'll be honest with you, I am not 100% sure what a shadow person is. I would love to know more. I know that several years ago, I wrote a thesis on how electrical storms and lightning storms can heighten your chances of seeing a shadow person. It's just strange because it's almost like they have such a strong collection of energy that they can change the feeling of a room in an instant. They can drop the temperature. And then you see this figure that's darker than dark. I just think, in my thought process, it's a spirit that has more energy built up than a normal spirit would.
So they can manifest a little bit more
Yeah,
others.
that would be
Uh,
my thought.
okay. Um, so what investigation changed your entire perspective on the paranormal?
I would say when it comes to me, the Coffee County Jail, like I was telling you earlier, on top of my own experiences that I had when I was younger, but that could be a different show for a different time. That investigation, when you have a cell door slammed shut that just took so much WD-40 and so many people to open, that was my, okay, there's more to this than what I can explain.
Yeah, that makes sense. What would you say to someone who thinks it's all nonsense?
I would tell them that's their opinion and they're welcome to their belief. You cannot argue with nonsensical people.
Yeah.
And typically what happens is these people who say it's all fake, they're going to say that until they have their own experience. So what I like to do is say, I'm not going to argue with you, but if you would like to join me on an investigation, I hope you have an experience.
Yeah. And then when they experience it, it does change their mind if they can't debunk it. Final question. How can people connect with Newport Paranormal Society, or the Paranormal Unveiled? And I know you have another one in Alabama as well.
The Southeastern Ghost Research Association is in Alabama. The Newport Paranormal Society is in New Hampshire. You can find me on my personal Facebook page at Nathaniel Elwell. You'll see a picture of me sitting in front of a microphone doing a public speech. You can go and find my book on Amazon, Downloading for the Dead, Investigating Paranormal Applications. If you go to gruesomebrewcoffee.com, you can get a bag of my coffee, which you can see right here. It says Newport Paranormal Society right there.
Yep.
And it's a mocha java cinnamon, and it's based with the cryptid of Nessie from Loch Ness. So I got that going on. You can find me on YouTube at Paranormal Nate. You can find me on TikTok at Static Voices. Now, TikTok is the place that I post the most. I find paranormal videos or people share them to me, and I break them down and dissect them frame by frame to give you plausible, natural explanations for what you're seeing in the video. I have so much fun, and I have had so many people block me.
I'll put a lot of those links down in the description so everyone can check those out, and links to your book and where they can get your coffee.
Yep.
Sounds good. Thank you for coming on today. It's been a pleasure. Excited, it's been a very nice conversation.
I enjoyed it.
So, as we approach All Hallows Eve, remember the past may be gone, but its spirits and perhaps much more live on. Thank you for joining me on this haunted history adventure into the unknown. And don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment. I'll see you next time.